G'day listeners and welcome back to another episode of the Keeper League podcast. We're the AFL Fantasy podcast that doesn't talk about the superstars. We only talk about the less knowns and the players who are going to bring value to your draft and Keeper League teams. My name's Hef and today I am joined once again in the studio by Tom Wyman, fresh back from overseas. How you going, mate?
Good, thanks. Yeah, good to be back into the swing of things.
Now we just talked about a few of the highlights, but tell the listeners out there, what were the highlights of you? Where'd you go? What was the highlight of your trip? What happened?
So went to Europe. So Spain, UK, France, Germany, Italy, and the Netherlands. And I think I probably missed a few, but highlights: Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Went to a Real Madrid game, a couple of Premier League games. Saw Spurs City,
nice.
which is unreal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so good over there. And
was that in Tottenham?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spurs Stadium, which is very, very good. And I went to Wembley for the Women's FA Cup final. So
sick.
We covered a bit in 5 weeks.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that was unreal.
I reckon when I was over there, I saw I found Tottenham was just the easiest team to get tickets to.
Yep.
Did you? Yeah.
Probably, because they're sort of a big club, not.
Tottenham and West Ham, because the stadium's just so big, there's heaps of tickets.
Yeah, so that Spurs stadium's really new and it's pretty top notch.
And I actually got to when I was over there, Tottenham were rebuilding. We're building the stadium.
Yeah, okay.
So
there's still
I watched them play at Wembley, so I got to go to Wembley game as well.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's an unreal atmosphere. Was it your first time overseas? First time seeing?
Not first time overseas, but first time in Europe. Yeah, so first time
seeing Premier League and stuff.
Premier League, it's different over there. It's
so crazy when you compare it to AFL and stuff like that. Like the atmosphere is just so.
Well, the
different.
first game back, I watched Adelaide-Richmond, Adelaide Oval with about 30,000 people, and it was shocking. It was freezing.
You can't go back.
The atmosphere is just completely different.
Yeah, that's the gap between like Port and Crows games. Yeah, I find like when we go to away showdowns, it's very, very quiet in comparison. But then even like when you go to Premier League compared to Port, like Port don't go anywhere near.
No,
like
it's a different level of passion over there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's life or death type of thing.
Yeah,
and then people complain about when we boo Ken Hinkley, they do much worse. But anyway,
do a lot worse than boo.
100%. But no, good to have you back, mate. Good to have you back in the studio. Yep. And did you keep track of the footy while you're over there?
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, we a few of us sort of watched a few of the games, watched the showdown from the bar in Barcelona. Win for you guys. Yeah, hasn't been great since, but it was nice to sort of get away from it a little bit. But yeah, now we're back into it, in the thick of it now. Yeah. So good to be back. And
work reality check. Set in.
It's pretty tough, isn't it? It's pretty cold. It's pretty cold here actually.
Yeah, that too. I've never been able to experience a European summer because I can only ever go in school holidays.
Yeah.
So I usually go on the 6 weeks ones over Christmas type thing, and it's winter and stuff like that. So I've experienced the European winter many times, but never done the summer. So quite jealous of that. But anyway, again, good to have you back. Each week we spin the wheel for Game Day Squad, who are massive supporters of this show. So we'll do it again this week. And essentially, if your team name comes up, get in contact with me via socials or email, confirm with me your identity, and I'll send you the pack code. But here we go. Let's spin the wheel for the week. Spinning, spinning, spinning. And congratulations to... it's on the edge again. Jai Newcomb's son. So if you are Jai Newcomb's son, get in contact with me and then let me know your details and I will send you the pack. If you want to enter the competition, there's a link in the description below. Just fill out your details there. Your name will go on the wheel and you'll have a chance to win each week. A few people are emailing me and messaging me saying, is my name actually on there? I assure you, everyone who's entered is on there. Okay, there's a lot of names on there. There's a very low chance of your name actually coming up being on there. But yes, all the names are definitely there. But yeah, if you want to win, enter the competition, the link below, and hopefully you'll be in the running to win over the final few weeks. All right, I reckon we just get stuck into the round rewind. Let's talk about the Brisbane versus Melbourne game. And the first player on my list, he's probably too good for the podcast already, but I know you're a big fan of this guy from his draft year, Will Ashcroft. How'd you see his return? Yeah,
pretty good actually. Like the thing about Will, I guess, is that through his draft year, he was always known to be super meticulous, like the most professional draftee, and so he's going to take his return from a knee injury pretty seriously, and it sort of showed. Found plenty of the footy already, used it pretty well. I think it'll be better for the run. Like it wasn't his best game by any means, but it was interesting to see where they used him, given Brisbane sort of have needed a half-back option since Kitty Coleman went down. And they've used Zorko, but I think, is Ashcroft maybe someone that they can play there?
I think so, because I don't know. I'm not sure whether it's like
just starting in there. And I think it might be
uncontested stuff. But then you look at it and they've been playing Wilmot he's been just getting a whole heap more ball use off that halfback flank in the last few weeks. And I'm just kind of checking what he did here. Did it kind of stifle him this week? I can't even see Wilmot
had 18
on the list.
So
so he's
18 touches, 58 points.
Just after he's been through Too Good for the Podcast status, he drops back. So I'm not sure whether they need him back there. I'm not sure whether he serves better. Gut feel is that it's just easing him back into him.
I think it is,
because he rolled up to the wing a fair bit as well. He was starting on the wing at a lot of them.
Ease him into it, which is fair.
Yeah, I wouldn't be expecting it too much, but if it does happen, it's worth looking at. And if he's on your waivers, which he shouldn't be, I think most people would have picked him up 2 or 3 weeks before his return, type of thing. But if he's there, make sure you've got him. Bruce Revel. Is it Revel or Reveal?
Don't know. Just Bruce,
Yeah, just Bruce will do. 77 points. He was part of the wing rotation as well, actually, which is just interesting, listed as a forward. Scored the 77 points. It's actually the first time I've actually just paid closer attention to him. I've been missing a lot of Brisbane games lately, especially through the bye rounds as well. I didn't watch him too closely. But good to see him in action and actually score pretty well on the weekend. Moving on to some Melbourne players. Cozzy Pickett, 104 points. I feel like it was only a matter of time before Cozzy put up a score like this over the recent few weeks. He's been playing.
He's awesome.
He's been playing in the midfield. He's been playing at the centre bounces and then moving back to the forward line, stuff like that. So that always allows him for a tackle here and there. But then he kicked 5 goals as well.
Yeah, how good was that game? Him and Rankin's performances were probably the best from the weekend from my point of view. But Pickett, they've needed someone like him to step up with Petrarca down.
Yeah,
and they need that spark in the midfield, and he was unreal. The pressure he provides around the ball, you just. He might be meters behind you, but you just feel it, opposition players. So
I guess
there's a presence about him, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Kicking 5 goals, that's a fair chunk of scoring right there.
Yeah, it is. That's the thing.
So even with if he doesn't kick those goals, he probably doesn't score that well. But the thing is, he's capable of that 70, 80 most weeks.
Yeah.
Given that the role he does play, and when he gets on the end of a couple goals, so forward option at the moment. Very, very serviceable for most teams for sure.
A good tackler as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's good for 4 or 5 tackles a week.
Yeah. Jacob Van Rooyen, he scored 92 points, 2 goals. I guess just the main point, he was just getting some more time in the ruck as well. So he's just taken marks at both ends of the ground as well, popped up in defence for an intercept or 2 in this game as well. So just an extra avenue for nothing massive, but you generally take a mark in defence, you usually get a kick on the back of those. You take 2 or 3 of those and it's the equivalent of kicking 2 goals, up forward. So, just an option as a forward, given that you take anything in this season where we're not really bereft of options in the forward line. Let's go with Sydney Swans versus Fremantle moving on. Got some tip of the caps to start with. Did you watch this game at all?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Sat at the pub and watched the whole thing and it was great.
What a perfect afternoon.
Yeah. It was raining and disgusting. And
tip of the caps to Hayden McLean, 91 points and 2 goals. Also Will Hayward as well, kicking 3 goals and still not managing the 80. Corey Wagner. Tell me about his game.
Yeah, I know. I didn't, to be honest, even know he was playing. And then this, blonde-haired bloke kept getting the footy. He sort of looks like Hayden Young, but he doesn't quite have the longer hair. But, and he just kept getting heaps of it. And he's sort of another Freo defender who just gets bulk footy, and a fair bit of it is cheap. Found heaps of it, used it pretty well. I don't know. I don't know if his place in the side's really set. I mean, Freo have got a few injuries down back. I don't know. I'd be doubtful he sort of stays in the side too long. But he does score well when he is there, I think.
The interesting thing is they come against Sydney, who are the top team. They're obviously fancy themselves for top 8, and they start James Aish as the sub.
Yeah,
he comes onto that half back line and scores okay. So if Aish is someone that's kind of on the outer, then maybe he could go okay.
And Freo do play that way where the defenders are going to get so much ball.
Yeah,
Ryan.
They apparently at one stage where they were the most team to kick backwards or something like that because they chip around their defence. I think they've kind of changed it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But earlier on in the season it was that, so they do revert to that from time to time as well. So I don't know. Like, it's no guarantee. It's just something to flag. If Aish is going to be sub or on the outer, Aish could have just been rested though as well, and then they'll swap that. They'll swap that role over again this week. Could go either way, but just something to think about. Might be worth a little dabble at a waiver wire there. And Sam Swikowski, 87 points. He's on the too good for the podcast bubble once again.
He's such a barometer for Freo, I reckon.
Yeah.
When he plays well, they seem to play well.
Absolutely. I think he's had a fair few good performances in a row now, Swikowski.
He's quite underrated.
I don't know. He must have had 280 plus if he's on the bubble. So, yeah, could be there next week. And just not getting as much midfield time as he was getting at the end of last year, but it doesn't really matter. Like, he's just a good forward scorer.
Yep. Very solid.
Yeah, kind of in the mould of, I guess, Dylan Moore or someone like that can score okay playing up there. Let's move on to the North Melbourne versus Western Bulldogs game. Like, Darcy Tucker scored 118 points, but there's still no McKercher.
Yeah.
I think McKercher's had 2 ripper games
He'll
in the
be
VFL
back.
as well. So if you got on Darcy Tucker at the start of the bye rounds, you would have got a few ceiling scores out of him, and you'd be happy. But yeah, it's one that's it's going to come back to earth. If you've got a few inexperienced coaches in your league, he's one I'll be just throwing out as a trade. See if you can trick a few.
For sure.
See, look, he scored 118 last week, done a few weeks ago. He can score. Try to get a few of those guys, trick a few of them, because that's probably all he's going to be worth once McKercher comes back. Eddie Ford, what do you think of this guy?
I love him, to be honest.
Same.
Yeah, he's great. A bit of character.
Did you see him flip off? I can't remember what was last time. He just gave a finger.
Unreal.
Just with the sideburns as well, and that wispy
What a
mullet.
character.
Fuck off.
It's great. It's great to see from North as well.
Yeah.
I like him.
I like him as well. But as a fantasy footballer, he's probably still only a tip of the cap. Though. But look, took 8 marks, kicked the goal, got the 92 points. You'd be happy if you were playing him, but not many people probably are. Bailey Williams, 91 points. He's back to that half-back role. So I think Oscar Baker came into the side this week, and it's just, I don't know, just monitor the selections each week. And if it looks like he's playing in defence, he's definitely like a stream. You bring him on the field. If he's playing on that wing, you don't like him as much. But with Gallagher in there, with
they got a fair few of that time. Sort of.
Oscar Baker in there. Lockie McNeil was coming in a few weeks ago. But the thing is, Caleb Daniel went out of the side as well, so you just assume that Bailey Williams would be on the wing as well, because that's where Daniel's been the last few weeks.
Yeah,
it's
Picks
Bevo.
and chooses,
100% Bevo. They keep winning, so even though North Melbourne... Well, actually, North Melbourne are in form, so maybe beating
they
them
played
isn't too
probably a month of good footy now. And it's only one win from that month, but they're competitive now, which is a good change.
We've got one more in the...
Probably not the easy beats that they were, which is good.
Definitely.
I think for the comp.
We got one more on the dock, but I might leave that to the end because there's a question to come through for that one. Gold Coast Suns versus Collingwood, moving on to that game. Ben Ainsworth, 113 points. There's a few rumours about Ben Ainsworth and trades and things like that, isn't there?
I think so, yeah. But I reckon there has been for a couple of years.
Yeah, true. I'm just thinking maybe they might be playing for a big contract or something like that. I don't know, but he's been playing on the wing pretty much for a season and a half now. Pushes forward, though, as well. Kicked 2 goals. I'm backing him to have a big end of the season, I reckon. I think he's going to, Suns are going to push for finals. Got a few games up there at, what's it called now? It's not Metricon anymore.
No idea.
People's First, something like that. People's First
Stadium.
Yeah, that's the one. And a few games up there, he plays pretty good up there. I'm backing him just to him to be one of the main drivers of Suns hopefully making the finals. I think. And if they are going to make it, it's going to be on the back of performances from him. So he's one I'll be looking at. Will Powell is very interesting. So this is a guy that feels like he should be way too good for the podcast and should have been for years, but he never quite strings those 3 or 4 performances in a row. Do you think that it might be a turning point given that Flanders going back into the midfield pretty much started on the ball this week? What are your thoughts?
I think so, because I reckon they really like Powell, cross half back, because he's a pretty good user. And sort of maybe every team needs that bloke who sort of sets you up from half back. And I think Powell can be that guy for the Suns. He's just unfortunately probably had a heap of injuries over his career.
And then suspended for 6 weeks.
And that doesn't help. But I hope he gets a sustained run at it, because I reckon he can really push a decent average. Sure.
I think so too.
I think Hardwick rates him as well. So
do you think the Flanders thing he stays in the midfield, or
I think Flanders. I think he does.
I think he just adds to that midfield.
I think they do need more beyond just Anderson Rao, and they've got Miller there, but I mean, he'd be getting older now.
Miller and Rao are quite similar, like when it comes down
quite
to it.
combative. They need someone on the outside.
Yeah, another one of those runners.
Zip. I think Flanders adds a little bit to that. So
yeah, and then you think of their defense as well. Like Sexton's playing back there, he's going okay. Joel Jeffrey he's getting big raps from Damon Hardwick as well. Like they've got three.
Mac Andrew can sort of do that as well.
Yeah, they've got enough like run and dash off that halfback line to go with. So I think it makes them more dangerous, and they beat.
I think it does. I think moving forward, I think Flanders has to be that sort of fourth mid for him.
Yeah, he's kind of wasted back there.
He probably is best in the midfield.
Yeah. Jeremy Howe scored 80 points, probably a tip of the cap. He's been thrown forward recently, but it doesn't really change anything fantasy-wise. If anything, he's probably slightly better as that kind of key defender or lockdown defender that he plays.
Yeah, just because of the +6s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He might get a few goals up there, but I think these high-flying days of taking marks and kicking goals are kind of over. So, probably just a tip of the cap for Jeremy Howe. I wouldn't be getting too excited about the forward move. Unless, like, he does get forward status and goes back, it could be handy, but I don't know. Onto the Crows game. Assuming you watched this one.
Yeah, I was at it. Yep.
You're
the
at
game.
it?
Yep.
Was it raining?
Absolutely.
No, it was fine.
No, it wasn't raining. It was bloody cold, though.
Yeah. No, I was watching the Essendon.
The crowd was horrendous. Well, they didn't actually put it up on the...
Oh, that's never a good time.
No. Like, normally at three-quarter time they give the crowd, but I think it was sub 30K, so that's not good.
Yeah, that's not good for the Crows, especially.
Saturday night, prime time.
Yeah, definitely.
It was against the Giants, but still you expect more than that.
Yeah, I guess given off like last performance at home.
Pretty flat vibe around the club.
But you had a good win. So
you're
glad you win, probably.
Yep.
Ben Keys, he had 99 points.
Yep.
Is this a tip of the cap, or do you think was there something
we kicked
different
the first
about his
two goals, so that helps.
Yeah, I saw he got off
it was
to a good
definitely his
start.
best game for a while. He's been out of form for a long time now, since before I left for Europe. So,
do you see that change? Do you see that form changing, or is it just kind of like you need another week to have a look at him?
Oh, you kind of need another week. I mean, 2 goals straight away, that bumps it right up. But yeah, I'd take a brave man to go on Keezy.
Yeah, definitely. Josh Rochelle had 87 points. Was there anything different about his game? And is he a player that you see, we've talked about, I guess you said Rankin was your standout performer of the week, and he's too good for the podcast these days. But like, is he going to take a step similarly soon? Or what's your thoughts on Rochelle?
Well, I think Rochelle gets, in my opinion, pretty harshly criticised because of that sort of, I think, when he went back didn't go back with the flight or took his eye off the ball. I can't remember which game it was against.
Yeah,
that sort of really stuck with people.
And then was a bit of a show pony as well, like at times as well.
And he's always been one that every goal he kicks, he goes and celebrates properly. And I think that rubs people up the wrong way sometimes.
Yeah.
Rightly or wrongly. But
it's the Aussie tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah, exactly. And showing a bit of flair. And I mean, he's still only 21, and he's playing quite a difficult role in that. It's that high half forward, but sometimes I think he can get lost. And he's sort of not a midfielder, but not a permanent forward. So I think he sort of finds it difficult sometimes to stay involved in play for periods of time. But it was really good on the weekend. I think it was a much improved performance. He got a fair few shots at goal. I think he might have had 6 shots at goal, and I think he only kicked 2.
Yeah.
So he's he got plenty of looks. But yeah, I have really high hopes for him. The midfielder as a junior, so I think he can find the footy when he goes in there.
Yeah.
It's just about what role he plays.
I wouldn't be surprised if Crows are that team in the back end of the season that just put a few of the better teams to the sword.
Yep.
Like just try a few different things that's like completely unpredictable for opposition coaches and stuff like that. And if that happens, I think Josh Rochelle kind of
plays a big role.
Yeah, plays a big part in that.
I think under Nick's, we've sort of always, the Crows have sort of always played better against the better sides.
Yeah.
And struggled against sides that they should beat. And I think, like you say, I think there is the potential to win a couple of games and ruin a couple of other club seasons maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Can be motivation.
It's still a wasted season, that's for sure.
Oh, definitely. Sam Berry had 84 points.
Yeah.
Do you think he has a future in the Crows midfield? Like, is he going to be part of these new things that you're trying over the back end of the season?
I think he has to be. He showed good signs in 2022, I reckon it was. I think he was the leading tackler in the league.
Tackle machine. Averaging 9 a game, I reckon it was.
Yeah. So, but
could have been more. Like, could have been 10.
He did. I reckon he definitely led the comp in tackles, but then he sort of struggled last year.
Yeah.
Lost his way. Wouldn't have played many games. He's been in and out this year, but I think more so in than out. And he does add a bit, but I don't see him having a role unless Lairds out of the midfield. So, I mean, I'd love to see Berry being given a proper crack at it. Centre bounce mid over the next back end of the season, but I still think he's probably 4th or 5th in line at this stage until the likes of Laird and maybe Crouch get moved on.
Laird's an interesting one because he was on the halfback a lot more, but he went back to the centre bounces this week though.
Yeah, he did. And I don't love seeing that personally because Laird's not the future.
Yeah.
We've got to see what Berry has. I don't think he'll ever be a star, but if he can be a B grader, then I think that's, every team needs those grunt. Look at what Rowbottom's doing at Sydney. I think Berry can be potentially a version of that.
If he, like that, I agree with that. I think if he can just be a consistent mainstay in that midfield, he could be an 80 average type player. Yep. And Rowbottom's on the field for everyone who owns him type thing. Yep. So, yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a good comparison.
And if you play Rankin and Dawson in the midfield as well,
offers the complete package,
you need someone that's going to do the defensive stuff because you don't want Rankin and Dawson laying those tackles.
Yeah.
You want someone funneling the ball out to those types.
Yeah, 100%.
Giving it to them in space.
No, he does complement the midfield nicely. Yep. Yeah. Connor, we'll move on to the GWS Giants. Connor Iden is interesting because he had 104 points this week and he's now in the 2G4P bubble. I think he was definitely 80 plus last week. He's had a good month going back through the scores as well. Looking at it, it kind of coincides with Leclerc coming back into the side as well. I'm not sure if he's been freed up or is it a case of Sam Taylor not playing? Yeah. Is he just in the right positions because he's kind of playing that next key defender to take a few more intercept grabs and stuff like that?
I would lean towards maybe it is the Taylor effect.
Yeah. He always seems to play better when Taylor's out.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe because he finds himself in better positions with Taylor out,
following the better forward around and the ball's coming to him.
Hard to, I do like Iden though. Just looks like a super serviceable player. Probably one of the first picked every week.
Maybe not a fantasy type.
Not a fantasy type, I wouldn't say.
These next two, I reckon, have always looked like fantasy types. Lockie Ash and Finn Callahan. We'll start with Ash. He had 94 points. I think Ash is actually officially too good for the podcast now. I think he had an 80 plus before he got injured. Now he's had another couple in a row now. He's just got the right role for fantasy. Friendly game for defenders. I think as well, I think maybe we just need to kind of monitor the scoring of defenders against the Crows as well, because I think, Whitfield went 160. They weren't really...
Whitfield... I looked up and Whitfield was absolutely... He was on 120
but they just let him go. They didn't put anyone on him and they were happy to do that. So
I think Green had 38 as well and I didn't see many of them.
Yeah. So I guess this is probably more to do with playing against the Crows, but just maybe stream a few of the defenders against them over the next few weeks and just see what happens, because there's a very good chance that they're just kind of letting things happen there and not really applying too much attention to those distributors off the half-back. Finn Callahan is the other one, 85 points. I think it was interesting because, I thought he'd be killed because Canelio was back, but Canelio played forward and looked like he's holding his shoulder all game.
Yeah, and he got crunched, I reckon, in one contest by Nick Murray. Yeah. And that looked like it really hurt him.
Yeah, he was not good. I only actually watched the last 10 minutes once the Geelong Essendon game was blown out of the water. But yeah, I just turned it on to him holding his shoulder, looking like it was just dangling from one side. So I don't know what to make of Canelio. But Finn Callahan, I think, is going to see an increased role regardless over the next few weeks and probably years to come as well. So
for sure.
Yeah. Absolute gun, I think. We'll take some time to thank the gold members. Again, this is a member-supported podcast. Without membership support, we just seriously, honestly can't continue the show. Wouldn't have enough time in the day to do so without the members helping me out and giving me a day off work to complete the podcast. But thank you to Liam Webb, Kieran Sankey, Chris Allen, Matthew Bowditch, Jack Clydesdale, Ryan Doyle, Shane Crick, I'm going to say Bennett, or is it Benoit Durand? Max Tarachuda, that's the one. Ewan Bradley, Daniel Aitken, Grant Pine, Matthew Connell, and Brody Jared. Again, thank you to all the members who support this podcast. It honestly would have been gone by now if you guys aren't around. Okay, on to the Geelong versus Essendon game. You didn't see this one, did you?
No, I didn't, no.
Very, very interesting umpiring.
Yeah, that's all I've heard since. So
yeah, it was probably just a few decisions that really killed Essendon's momentum, and resulted in Geelong just scoring the other way. Essentially, you didn't even see the rush behind?
I saw the rush behind, and Jared Waitley. I was in the Waitley, and he wasn't impressed.
Yeah, it's just you see just there's just too many inconsistencies right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about umpires too much. Let's talk about some Geelong players. I think Jack Bowes would have to be one of the most frustrating players to own in fantasy. Like, he had 123 points this week, but he plays so many roles, so many outcomes, like, in terms of his scoring. What do you think it is? Is he a Mr. Fix-It?
Yeah.
Or do Geelong just have no idea what's the best role to play him in? Or what do you think?
I think Geelong genuinely value like versatility and that.
Yeah.
I think Bowes can probably play on all three lines.
Yeah, but he starts
And
as a
gets
sub so
plugged
often
and
as well.
played.
Like, it's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, it was a pretty good return from him by more reports. So, yeah. I don't know. It just seems, more of a Mr. Fix-It type. I don't know where his best footy is. Maybe half back, but then I don't know.
No, I got no idea either. And that just makes it super unpredictable for his fantasy scoring. That's all. But I don't know. Going on averages this year is actually going okay. It's just that you get the sub-affected games and stuff like
just
that.
kills it.
That kill him. So, yeah. Jack Bowes, though, definitely serviceable when he's in the right role and on the park. Ollie Dempsey, 107 points. So, this is 2 weeks in a row. And it's a player I probably had my doubts as a fantasy player because I just saw him as like a half forward,
like flashy,
type thing.
Yeah,
he's actually a pretty quality footballer.
Oh, he's a gun.
Yeah, and he plays that high half forward role. Sometimes starts on the wing, but he just works his way into the game, works up the ground and stuff like that. And then he gets on the end of a few goals as well, which pump up the scoring. Do you think he's got a future in fantasy scoring?
I think you have to say he does because he's always shown that ability to get up the ground onto the wing and actually find a fair bit of the footy. For someone, I thought he'd be like a 10 touch a game sort of forward pocket, but he's more than that. He's a pretty special player, actually. I think he's a gun.
Like in a Geelong system where, like, I know Brian Myers is a good player, but like someone like him can be a very serviceable fantasy option and a pretty good super coach player as well. Like, there's no reason why Ollie Dempsey can't do a similar type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well. He's possibly got a higher ceiling than someone like Myers as well.
Yeah.
So.
And Mitch Nevitt is a player I'd kind of forgotten about from last season, but 88 points, outside type, playing on a wing. I haven't really thought too much of him as a fantasy type. It's just interesting to see him put up a good score. I think he's a player that needs to show us a bit more before we get excited, though.
I think he was a pretty good junior scorer from memory.
Okay.
Which is probably good, but
you would be the man to know.
you'd have to give him a few more games. That's for sure. It's too hard to tell at this point.
And not a lot to talk about for Essendon, but tip of the cap to Matt Guelphy, 82 points. It's too good for the podcast, but Jai Caldwell, what a beast.
Yeah. Haven't put together a serious season now.
Just like a player that I held on to for 4 years and only held him this year because he had forward status. If he was mid-only, in no way I would have held him. And it's like, just finally giving me that return like for showing the faith, I guess, and holding on to him. But anyway, let's move on to the St Kilda versus Port Adelaide shit show. 2-point win is career saving these days. Do you know, it's really funny that like lose to Carlton on a Thursday night and we have a few jokes and laughs after a game. Lose to Hawthorn in a Russell Ebert tribute match and we're smiling after the game and have a 2-point win over St Kilda and there's tears. It's a bit. I'm probably being a bit harsh there, but
he's pretty emotional, was he, Kenny?
It's as if like his job was on the line or something. Yeah, maybe. And that's why he's really crying. But anyway, I shouldn't be too mean to him. Apparently.
Wow.
Jordan Sweet at 89 points. Went well in the ruck. And I think at times he was beaten around the ground because Rowan Marshall was a bit of a freak. Yeah. But I think in terms of the hit-outs, like, he won that hit-out battle. There was a tap early to, like, Zach Butters, which was just pure, like, poetry in motion. Yeah. He knew exactly where he was going to be, put it down at his feet, and he just ran onto it. I think he kicked the second goal. I think it was the second goal of the game.
Yeah, it was early.
Marched out of the... Yeah, it was just perfect ruck craft. So, like, I think he probably gets a bit of an extended run. Like, I think given that he was, like, backed in after last week as well. I think Vicentini was named as the emergency. Yeah. I thought, or named an extended bench, and I wasn't really sure what was going there. But again, like, he won the hit-out battle against like 2 rucks as well. So I think he had 28 hit-outs, and the next best was, I think Marshall had 18, and Tom Campbell was playing. I think he had
Did
about
Marshall
10
play more forward?
He kicked 3 goals.
He kicked 3, didn't he?
He played forward.
Was it just him floating down there, or actually?
So I think he did play forward for a little bit, but then I think 1 or 2 of the goals was him floating down there. Like, because Sweet was still on him on one of the contests and just couldn't go with him up forward, and that wouldn't have happened if he was rotating.
Yeah.
So, like, it was a bit of in between, but I still think, like, he won the hit-out battle quite well, and I think Marshall was in there more than Campbell was as well. So, did pretty well. Just one to think about if you need a ruck option in your teams, that's all. And Josh Sinn's the other one, like, that halfback flanker kind of plays the right sort of game for fantasy. Had 74 points. like he looks classy when he's on the run sometimes, but I just like watching it. I watched him in preseason at a training game, and it looks like he was like swinging his leg across his body to kick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
But
like
like-
we did see like one go out of bounds
Yeah.
on the full in this game and stuff like that. It just seems like your classic Port halfback flanker, which like looks flashy, but just like
Yeah.
the
Not a lot of
polish isn't there.
substance.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know. And like we have a lot of his types.
Yeah.
Jace Bergen was out as well, who I think is a much preferred
A lot
option.
classier.
Yeah. So I think
Sin was a first round as well, so
yeah, ahead of Ben Hobbs, who
Yeah, okay.
I would love to have right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, actually, we probably don't need Hobbs as much, but when you're looking back, like he's not getting a game at Essendon. Josh Sin is playing for
Yeah.
us, but I'd still prefer Hobbs
definitely
in a draft
for
pick.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next game, Richmond versus Carlton. Jacob Hopper's back.
Yeah.
Had 98 points. Do you think he's going to perform better? Well, obviously, if he can stay fit, but
Yeah.
do you think having
Yeah.
Taranto back helps him or hinders him?
I don't know. It probably hinders him, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Taranto just gets so much the footy, but then does maybe, I don't know.
Is he the one dishing to
Is that,
Taranto?
yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just hope he stays fit. That's like the question mark with him because, yeah, that trade's not looking great for Richmond, but well.
They got plenty of time to work with it though
Yeah.
as well. Like he's not super old, is he?
I think he was 2015 draft.
Jeez, maybe he is then. Yeah.
So
Yes, wow. He's been around for so long for so little games, I think. So
he's just always injured, which is a shame.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that's why you forget how long he's been around for. But yeah, if he can
27.
remain,
He's 27 now,
yeah.
so
Yeah. Oh, damn, definitely in his prime.
Yeah.
Well, if he can remain fit, then hopefully
It's a question
he can do
mark with
something.
him,
But
yeah.
a lot of talk about Ratio Fantasia on the radio today,
Yeah.
I've heard. Apparently Port have missed a trick by letting him go. But I don't know, like I think like small forwards just pop up every now and then with a big
Yeah.
bag, and it's like
I mean, how yeah. Unfortunately, like he was only ever a couple of weeks away from another soft tissue injury at Port, I feel.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he spent more time injured than playing, that's for sure.
But yeah, and in terms of like
Which is frustrating, but
yeah, in terms of fantasies, like 4 goals didn't even crack over 80
yeah,
either.
it's just not one to get much of a footy.
Nah, not at all. One I do get excited about, even though he only scored 74 points, that's Lockie Cowan.
Yep.
I've got him earmarked as a fantasy scorer of the future. He's actually had 3 70-plus scores in a row now. And I think he's in his second season as well. So I've got him primed for like a third-year breakout
Yep.
next season. Would you agree with that?
Definitely. Yeah, great scorer as a junior.
Yeah.
Really, really good scorer.
Tassie boy, wasn't he? Just absolutely
Tassie,
racked it up.
Pretty sure he won the, I think it's the Morris Medal.
Yes, I think you're right. Yeah. Good
I think he
pedigree.
might have shared it with someone that didn't get drafted.
Yeah.
But yeah, great scorer, and I think he's just continuing it. To be honest, I think he's a natural that sort of finds the footy.
Yeah.
And he's a pretty good user, so I think they'll probably look for him more often than not.
And
But
I said this on the waiver wire today, though. You've got Doc, who knows if he actually plays again, you know?
Yeah, how old is Doherty?
30-something. But with everything, like 2 broken leg, knee,
He's 30.
cancer.
Okay, so he's not.
Yeah, he's still got to come.
I mean, he's had a pretty rough stretch. So yeah.
Now I think about it, he probably he's only 30. He probably will come back. But, like, you know, he's one injury away from career being over type thing.
Yeah.
But then you got Nick Newman, who's 30
Yep.
plus as well. Like, it's not long until there is a big hole on that halfback line for Carlton, and he looks like the perfect man to fill it in a system that's always been fantasy friendly for those halfback flankers as well. So yeah, Lockie Cowan, big watch for next season as a breakout for mine.
Yep.
Onto the last game of the round. Again, not a lot to talk about in this one. West Coast versus Hawthorn, but the big one for me was Jack Ginnivan, and he has been for a few weeks now. He got 97 points on the weekend, but his average, I think, I'm pretty sure is up over 70 now.
Yeah.
And like, if you're playing 70, like forwards average over 70, you're going to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
I think. Like,
yeah, for sure.
He's been on
Especially
my-
with our lack of options.
yeah, he's been on my bench like all season, and I reckon I'm ready to pump him up to like an F5.
Yep.
Because in this game as well, like, he was pushing up very high. Like, he was taking marks in defence and stuff like that, and, you know, gets involved in the link up on the way back when they start their attack and stuff like that. So,
Is
there's
it quite different to the role he's playing at Collingwood?
Yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah.
just like less small forward, and it's more just
It's
like
more
half forward
roaming.
connector, type thing.
Like they really push more, and Ginnivan quite high up the ground, don't they? They really get involved.
Yeah. No, I like the role. It's not going to be like, you know, super consistent.
No.
Like, I wouldn't expect a 70 plus each week, but it'll float around. I think his floor has been around 60s all year,
Which is quite not bad.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's quite
like,
good, yeah.
for
yeah.
F5s, and then, you know, to average, I think it's up to 72 now. like I'm going to take that most weeks if you
Yep.
can get it. So
For sure.
yeah. And he pops up with a few goals here and there as well, which bumps it up too. That's it for the round review. We'll thank a few more gold members. I've still got so many to get through this list. But thank you to James McVicker, William Kwan, Caroline Taylor, Curtis Stark, Chris Morris, Dylan Harvey, Glenn Roebuck, Benjamin Downey, mate of mine, lives in London. Thank you for supporting the show. He's in my fantasy league, coaches the Clever Girls. Very, very good. Very good fantasy team. Yeah. Mitch Hancock, Simon Cook, Aaron Colley, Liam Hamlin, Daniel Santillo, Ryan Both, and Daniel Nesbitt. Thank you for supporting the show. All right, we'll get through a few quick questions here and we'll wrap it up. At Jordan DeSena, that wants to know, is there any interest in Rory Lobb as a defender? Now, he scored 74 points this week and got a few more possessions through those intercept marks and stuff like that. My question to you is, Tommy, is Geordie's the answer the question. Is there a future like for him in the side? Like, is this a new role for him, or is it just like we're trying him out in a different spot?
Because we've already decided that he's going
exactly.
next season.
Like you're on your last chance to prove that like you can be part of this side.
I'm skeptical, to be quite honest, but I mean, at least Bevo's trying. Like, he's certainly not one to die wondering. He's throwing the magnets around all season, really. But yeah, I don't know why, but I just don't see it working. But the Bulldogs have always sort of needed that third tall defender that can intercept, and I mean he's a giant. Yeah. So he's always been a great contested mark. So it does sort of make sense from that standpoint, but I don't know. I just feel like he'll get exposed. I'm not sure, but yeah.
They don't like what do they got about there? Liam Jones. They got Keith. Is Keith playing?
Keith, I'm not sure, but it feels like he's been out for ages.
Yeah. So that's probably the hole they're plugging. But then I'm just trying to think. I'm just pulling up the teams from the weekend now. But
James O'Donnell.
Oh, that's right. O'Donnell does go.
Which is he's quite good actually.
Yeah, he might offer that third tall option. But
I mean, Keith's 32 now, so I don't know.
I think the big thing is like, given though that I would be thinking long term. It's more about like a waiver play, okay. And like he's listed as a forward. He'll definitely score better playing in defence, I think, than he will as a forward.
He'll get more of the ball, you'd think.
Yeah. He should take a few extra like intercept marks and things like that. But it won't be huge. But could put up a few 70s here and there listed as a forward over the final few rounds if they do experiment. I just wouldn't be like...
It's a pretty bold move.
Yeah, they're a team that's like that would probably fancy themselves to play finals at the minute. I think they're just outside of the 8 at the moment. But I don't think... Are you putting your best foot forward if you're playing Rory Lobb in defence each week? I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
it's got to be a better option.
Yeah. At JW Stewart 01, who is your guess for tag risks this week? Some interesting ones like Windhager versus the Swans, Bedford versus the Blues, and Phillips versus the Sun. So Windhager versus the Swans. So the two that they've gone to is been Warner and Heaney. At the moment, and I think Gordon was shit on the weekend, but I don't think he was actually tagged. I didn't really see the game, but I don't think he was tagged. He just had it down, which is he's probably due one. A lot of people saying you should tag Gordon, but I don't know. I think it's going to go to Heaney or it's going to go to Warner because they're probably the most damaging ones on the team. So probably those two. Bedford versus the Blues. Does he go to Cripps after last week's performance? Yeah, Cripps is playing serious footy at the moment. I think I saw something today where he's playing better footy than his Brownlow year. Yeah, they reckon he might be in for another Brownlow. So, I mean, I think you just got to go to Cripps, don't you? Yeah, I think Cripps with that one. That's who I'd go to. And he's such like the spirit of that whole team. So, I think it's more important. Like Walsh receives a little bit more on the outside from your Cripps. I think you cut it off at the source, which is Cripps. That's the best player to tag. Do you do the same with Sydney and go to Rowbottom? Like, is it stupid to think that? Yeah, I think Rowbottom's probably a little bit more of the defensive type though as well. Like, so maybe it just doesn't give. It's not as much of a distributor. As Cripps probably is. So maybe, but you could. But that no one ever seems to tag Rowbottom. No, I don't think it'll happen. But not sure if that's the best way to go when they've got so many gun players. I mean, that's the thing. There's so much damage on the outside that you just got to stop one of them. Now, who are we tagging at the Suns? Would you be tagging Flanders or would you be tagging Anderson? Or is there another one in the front? The only other one would be Rao. And I just don't think he's not really tag Rao. He doesn't really get a lot of touches. He doesn't get cheap balls. He's going to get 18 to 30 touches every week regardless. So I don't think you tag him. I think
probably go to Anderson.
Yeah, I think Flanders would be an interesting one to go to in the midfield. See what you shut in there. But
yeah,
Flanders. I mean, Anderson last week was pretty damaging. So.
I think you got to go to Anderson.
Yeah,
still.
yeah. So that's probably for those teams there. Bandit Healer wants to know what's the done thing for keeper trade deadlines in a league where they don't currently exist. Well, the first thing I'll say is I reckon you have to have a deadline. You don't want people trading through finals or cracking the shits late and just ruining a whole season by like trading out their whole team and stuff like that. But in our league, like it's probably far later than I'd like it to be. So I'm in 2 leagues, right?
Yeah.
One league we're already locked out. We were locked from the midway point of the season. You can't trade anymore.
So what, like round 12?
Yeah, pretty much. I think it was. Yeah, and the reason behind that is like you want to have the deadline at a point where everyone's still in contention. Yep. You don't want to have it at a point where people just start blowing up their teams.
Start throwing it away.
Yeah, or like, and it's a hard thing because like in a keeper league, you do want to prepare for the next season. But what tends to always happen is a team that's losing, a team that's down the bottom and will trade with a team that's up the top. And I think a classic case last year was, I think, in our league, someone had Simpkin who got ruled out. I had a heap of concussions and was ruled out for a bit. The top team had Simpkin and traded him away. And it's just turned out to be a really bad trade in hindsight, but at the time it seemed it helped him win. Traded him out for Viney. Yeah, so his thinking was Viney's going to retire. He's 30 plus. Yeah. I'll get Simpkin in. He's a young gun. But it would have handicapped the team that was top of the ladder to not get Viney in, and anyone would have been a chance. But as soon as that trade went through, it was kind of like, well, he's won the flag now because he's just got another 100 plus averaging midfielder in, and he's going to be very hard to stop. Ended up winning the flag. Yeah. So it sometimes feels like it's decided, the season's decided once those trades go through.
Yeah, okay.
So you
want to have it at a point where, you're still contending.
Yeah, that's it.
Everyone's still...
Yeah, that's my philosophy because it seems like in more seasons than not in our league, it feels like you know who the Premier is going to be by about round 18. Yeah, and it's usually it's usually won or lost after that kind of final week of trade period. Yeah, where everyone goes, all right, my team's shit, my guns are over 30. I'm going to trade them all out to the top team. Yeah, that top team becomes unbeatable,
or you go all in.
Yeah, that sort of stuff as well. It always just ends up being the old guns on the bottom teams get traded to the top teams for potential young players. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or guys that haven't even played yet but might be good one day. It's just you're getting something back for those 30 plus types, you know? Yep. And it's in our league where you've got a set list of 16 or it's 12 keepers now. There's not a lot of wiggle room or use doing them after the season. Yep. Like, no one wants those kind of older players at the start of the year, but they kind of become more valuable. Like Travis Boak, for example, went undrafted in our league. Now that he's got forward status, he's kind of like a bit more, and he got picked up in the mid-season draft. He's a bit more valuable.
Yeah, he is.
To like those things. And it's just a few bits and pieces like that I don't know. I feel like you just have to have it at a point where all teams are still in the hunt, because no one wants to throw it away just in case they make finals and can win it or whatever.
Makes sense.
Otherwise, it starts to kind of factor in who wins the flag
around
too
that
much.
mid-season.
I reckon so, yeah. Or I would say at least 6 to 8 weeks before the end of the year. Yeah. Before the end of the...
Maybe after the buys.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. It's a good time to lock it out. That's the done thing.
Yeah.
I reckon. But anyways, Tommy, we will wrap it up there. Bloody good to have you back, mate.
Yeah, it's nice to be back. Yeah, good to be talking about footy again.
Yeah, definitely. Not talking about Premier League and Grand Prix.
That's it. Yeah.
Would have been a good time to be in England right now and Europe right now for the Euros.
Oh, well, we originally tried to get tickets for Germany, for the Euros, but there's, millions of people going for this ballot. But it looks sick. It just looks awesome. I wish we were over there, but yeah.
I saw a video of some guy at the first England game who passed out, must have been drunk as, and woke up in the stadium at 4 o'clock in the morning type thing.
How did they not see him?
I don't know. Surely it's bullshit.
Yeah. But he's probably just got there 3 hours before.
Yeah, probably. But yeah.
Oh, well. England, looks like a great atmosphere.
England had a good win overnight, come from behind.
Oh, unreal, isn't it? Yeah.
But anyway, we'll stop talking about Premier League. Our listeners are probably... Oh, sorry, stop talking about soccer. The listeners are probably getting fed up with us.
Probably, anyway. Yeah, that's all right. Well.
Anything to plug?
Nah, that's all good.
Fluoro Sun?
Yeah, Fluoro Sun.
Buy a copy if you're down that way.
We got the SA Country Footy Champs next week.
Yeah.
So that'll be big down at Victor. So come down. It's actually going to be a pretty good standard. Yeah. So you got your representatives from all the leagues, all the country leagues. So all on Victor and Encounter Bay for the weekend.
A few of those like potential Sandful types.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Could be
there's some
draftees
really
among
good,
them and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. There always is a couple of gems that end up playing. Sandful.
Yeah.
Don't know about AFL, but there's definitely some interesting players down there. Like Ben Kennedy played a bit of time at Collingwood
I
and
remember Ben
Melbourne.
Kennedy.
I think.
Yeah.
Plays at Maiponga and absolute star. Him and his brother there as well. And Maiponga's getting
so this is seniors as well, is it?
Yeah,
I thought
So
it was juniors.
this is seniors. Only seniors. No juniors.
Sorry, I get you.
And Johnny Butcher, former power.
The future.
Cult figure.
The past now.
Also playing at Maiponga as well. So very interesting.
Interesting. Well, say it out of John
and
Butcher.
Gibbsy,
for us.
obviously down at Bryce Gibbs down at Victor as well. So it's good.
A few AFL stars there.
Yep.
All right, well, we'll wrap that one up. Get around us at Keep League Pod on all the socials. If you like the show and you want to support it, please make sure you sign up as a member. Forgot to mention footynumbers.com at the top, but make sure you keep playing that. Keep sharing your streaks and your scores. Good to see people out there still playing it. Anyways, that'll do from us, and we'll talk to you next week. See ya.